All right, so let's jump right into it today. We're doing a deep dive into KNR Constructions Ltd's recent quarterly results.
Okay.
We've got their investor presentation and earnings call transcript right here in front of us.
Sounds good.
You ever get that feeling like you just found a hidden treasure chest?
Oh, yeah.
Well, KNR is kind of sitting on a mountain of cash right now.
Yeah.
And it's making investors wonder, like, what are they going to do with all of it?
It is. It's a very interesting situation they're in.
It is.
And, what's fascinating is that KNR's story really kind of reflects the larger trends that are happening in India's infrastructure sector.
Yeah.
They're really right in the middle of this huge push for better roads and highways.
I mean, it's got to be crucial for India's economic growth too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's essential.
Yeah.
So before we get into all the numbers and stuff with KNR's finances, can you kind of paint a picture of what's going on in the Indian infrastructure scene?
Yeah, give us that overview.
Yeah.
What's it looking like?
So imagine a country that's just moving at warp speed,
Okay.
with construction happening everywhere you look.
Wow.
The Indian government has really made infrastructure development a top priority.
I mean, that makes sense.
Especially when it comes to roads and highways.
Yeah.
In fact, the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, they call it MORTH.
MORTH, yeah.
They've set a target to award a massive amount of projects.
Okay.
It's INR 5 lakh crore worth
Okay.
projects just this year.
Just this year, INR 5 lakh crore.
I know.
That's a ton of money.
It's a huge commitment.
Wow.
So it definitely makes sense why investors are so interested in companies like KNR.
Absolutely.
They're major players in this whole sector.
Yeah.
And it's not just about building, traditional roads anymore.
Okay.
We're talking about projects that are revolutionizing how people travel.
Oh, wow.
So, for example, they're working on these multi-lane free-flow toll systems on expressways.
Okay.
These systems, they use really high-tech, cutting-edge technology to collect tolls electronically.
You don't have to stop.
Yeah, you can just zoom down the highway without stopping at any toll booths.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's all about seamless connectivity and efficiency.
That's really impressive. It sounds like they're literally building highways of the future over there.
That's what it feels like. It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about KNR's specific business model.
Okay.
How do they fit into this whole, fast-paced, ever-changing landscape?
So KNR's business model, it's actually pretty diverse.
Okay.
They're involved in 3 main types of projects.
All right.
EPC,
Uh-huh.
HEM,
Yeah.
and BOT.
Got it.
But,
Yeah, I think we should break those down for our listeners.
yeah, you're right.
Some people might not know all these acronyms, all this construction jargon.
Good point. Let's do that.
Right.
So EPC stands for engineering, procurement, and construction.
Oh, wait.
It's basically the classic model
Mm-hmm.
where a company like KNR gets hired by a client.
Right.
They design the project, they gather all the materials,
Yeah.
and then they build it
From the ground up.
from scratch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's their bread and butter, so to speak.
So EPC, that's their reliable workhorse.
You got it.
What about HAM? That sounds a little fancier.
HAM stands for hybrid annuity model.
Okay.
And it's actually a partnership between the government and a private company like KNR.
Okay.
The government shares both the risks and the rewards of the project with the company.
Interesting.
So it makes it a more stable
Yeah.
and predictable investment.
Gotcha. So less risk for KNR
Exactly.
and potentially a smoother ride for investors, too.
That's the idea.
I like it. What about BOT?
BOT, that stands for Build, Operate, Transfer.
Okay.
So with this one, KNR takes on an even bigger role.
Oh, how so?
So they not only build the project,
Right.
but they also operate it for a certain period of time.
Interesting.
So they'll collect tolls or user fees to basically recoup their investment.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then after, the concession period is over, they transfer the project back to government.
So it's kind of a long-term game,
It is. It's a long game.
but with some pretty big potential payoffs, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it can generate a lot of revenue over time.
Okay, so they're not just building roads.
Right.
They're operating and managing them, too.
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive, the range of stuff that they do.
Yeah, they have a lot of expertise.
And, I mean, they've been doing this for a while, right?
Oh, yeah, they have an impressive track record.
Like how long?
Over 25 years.
Wow, okay.
And they've successfully completed over 8,700 lane kilometers of road projects.
Jeez.
I know.
That's a lot.
across 12 states in India, working with major clients like the National Highways Authority of India.
The NHAI? Yep.
That's them.
Wow.
They even constructed those, unique two-tier flyovers in Salem City.
The two-tier flyovers.
Yeah.
I've heard of those.
They're really something.
Yeah, those are crazy. So KNR is clearly a major player in this whole infrastructure boom.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
But what about their financials? I mean, are they actually making money from all this activity?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's take a closer look at KNR's recent performance, starting with their revenue.
Right, let's do it.
So their revenue has been growing pretty consistently,
Okay.
both in their standalone and consolidated figures.
Okay.
One thing that really helped was the settlement they got for that Muzaffarpur Baroni project.
Okay, so a one-time thing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Still good news for them.
It gave their revenue a nice boost.
Right.
But,
Yeah, revenue is only part of the picture.
Exactly.
Got to look at the profitability, too.
Right. Are they actually making a good profit
Yeah.
on these projects?
That's the real question.
That's the key.
Yeah.
And this is where things get really impressive.
Oh, okay. I like hearing that.
Their EBITDA margins are really healthy, especially in their consolidated results,
Okay.
which means they're running things pretty efficiently.
That's good. Efficient operations.
Yep.
Yeah. Less waste, more profit.
Exactly.
So what's driving those margins?
Well, a big part of it is, you guessed it,
The ham projects.
the ham projects.
They just keep coming up.
They're really working out well for them.
It seems like it.
Stable and profitable. It's a good combination.
Yeah, it is.
But, we can't ignore the elephant in the room.
Oh, here we go.
That massive pile of cash
The cash pile.
that KNR is sitting on.
What's the deal with that?
Right. Everyone wants to know.
It's like the big question mark.
It is.
Yeah.
So basically, strategic divestments, like the Muzaffarpur Baroni deal,
Yeah.
and, just strong project execution,
Right.
has led to this big surplus of cash.
Makes sense.
And of course,
Investors are curious.
oh, they definitely are.
They want to know what's going to happen with all that money.
They want to know how KNR is going to use it.
Yeah.
Will they reinvest it? Will they pay dividends?
Acquisitions?
Maybe even venture into new sectors?
That's the big question.
It's a big decision for them.
It is.
And investors are watching closely.
Yeah, they definitely are.
But, KNR is also facing some challenges right now.
Right. No business operates in a vacuum.
Exactly.
What kind of headwinds are they dealing with?
Well, one of the biggest is a slowdown in government project awards.
Oh, interesting.
Remember that ambitious INR 5 lakh crore target?
The one we talked about earlier, yeah.
Well, the pace of awarding new projects hasn't quite kept up.
So, a bit of a speed bump.
Yeah, you could say that.
Especially after the elections, maybe.
Yeah, the elections definitely had an impact.
Okay, so that must be putting some pressure on KNR
It is.
to find some new ways to grow.
They got to be creative.
Yeah, so is that where their strategic shift
It is.
towards those Hayman BOT projects comes in?
You got it.
Okay, so it's all connected.
It's all part of the plan. This shift is actually really smart, given what's happening in the market right now.
Yeah, less government projects, got to adapt.
Exactly.
Got to find those other sources of revenue.
Right. And HM and BOT projects, they offer KNR more predictability,
Okay.
especially in times like these when things are a bit uncertain.
That's a good point.
It's like choosing the steady route
Yeah.
over the unpredictable one.
Less risk, more stability.
Exactly.
I like it.
But, some people might say that KNR is giving up some control
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
by partnering with the government on these projects.
Yeah, like maybe they're missing out on some potential profits.
It's a valid concern.
But I guess there's always that trade-off, right?
There is always.
Risk versus reward.
You got to find the right balance.
Yeah.
But KNR seems pretty confident that these partnerships are the right move for them.
Long-term strategy.
Long-term, sustainable growth and profitability.
That's the goal.
That's what they're aiming for.
And let's not forget the EPC market.
Yeah,
That's their traditional bread and butter.
it is.
But it's getting more and more competitive.
It's getting crowded.
Yeah, more players, tighter margins.
Barely.
It's a tough market.
It's not easy out there.
So they're being strategic, they're adapting.
They're trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, but what about diversification?
The big question.
The big one. Yeah.
Everyone wants to know.
Are they going to branch out beyond roads and highways?
Are they going to leverage their success and try something new?
Especially with all that cash they have.
Right. They could make some big moves.
So what's the word on the street?
Well, diversification is the big question mark hanging over KNR right now.
So no clear answers yet.
They've dabbled in other sectors before.
Like what?
Solar projects, metro projects.
Yeah.
But they haven't really found the same level of success.
that they have with roads and highways.
Exactly. So they're being cautious.
I can understand that.
They're exploring their options,
Mm-hmm.
looking into things like water treatment,
Interesting.
but they're not rushing into anything.
So they're not jumping on every bandwagon.
Nope. They're being selective.
They're sticking to what they know.
For now, at least.
Makes sense.
But, there's a risk in being too cautious, too.
Right. They could miss out on some good opportunities.
Exactly. It's a delicate balancing act.
It always is.
Finding that sweet spot between sticking to your strengths
Mm-hmm.
and exploring new possibilities.
Yeah. Tough decisions.
For sure.
But, even with a cautious approach,
Right.
every business faces risks.
Absolutely.
What are some of the potential roadblocks that KNR could hit?
So even with the best plans, things can go wrong.
That's true for any business.
Right. So for KNR,
Mm-hmm.
some of the key risks are project execution challenges.
Okay, like what kinds of challenges?
Well, there could be delays,
Right.
cost overruns,
Of course.
unforeseen circumstances.
Those always pop up.
They always do.
And those can all impact profitability.
Definitely.
And then there's the regulatory landscape.
Oh, yeah. That's always changing.
It's constantly evolving.
Especially in India.
Right, so sudden shifts in government policies,
Mm-hmm.
land acquisition hurdles,
Yeah, that can be a big one.
environmental clearances.
Lots of red tape.
It's a complex environment.
It sounds like it.
So yeah, there are definitely some potential pitfalls.
But KNR has a pretty long track record, right?
They do.
Of navigating these complexities.
They've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, over 25 years, we said.
That's right.
So they've probably seen it all.
They've faced challenges before and come out stronger.
And they have a good leadership team,
Oh,
right?
yeah, very experienced team.
Which is always important.
That makes a big difference.
So speaking of leadership,
Okay.
let's introduce the people behind KNR's success.
Yeah, let's talk about who's steering the ship.
Who are the key players here?
So KNR Constructions was founded by Mr. K. Narasimha Reddy.
He's a true veteran of the highway sector.
Like, how long has he been in the game?
Over 50 years.
50 years. Wow.
Yeah, he's seen it all.
I bet he has.
His vision and leadership
Wow.
have been instrumental in KNR's success.
50 years. That's incredible.
It's amazing.
So who's working alongside him?
Leading the charge on bidding and project execution
Okay.
is Mr. K. Jalandhar Reddy, the executive director.
Right.
He brings over 25 years of experience to the table.
So a good mix of like long-term vision
Yep.
and hands-on expertise.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they have a really skilled team supporting them, too.
Okay, good.
Making sure KNR keeps delivering.
So a strong leadership team in place.
Very strong.
That's good to know.
But, ultimately, what matters most is their strategy for the future.
That's the key.
What are their plans?
Yeah, what's next for KNR?
And that's what we'll dive into in the next segment.
All right, lean forward to it.
We'll take a look at what KNR's management has been saying
Perfect.
about their outlook for the future
Great.
and how they plan to address those key questions
The big ones.
about diversification and how they'll use those cash reserves.
The cash pile.
The cash pile, that's right.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back, and we've talked about a lot with KNR.
We have.
Their business model, financials, the good, the bad, all that. But now let's look ahead.
As for the future,
What's KNR's outlook?
right, where are they going?
And how are they going to navigate all this?
It's a changing landscape.
Yeah, a lot going on.
So to really understand their strategy, we should see what KNR's management's been saying.
Okay, yeah, let's go straight to the source.
Exactly.
What have they been telling people?
Well, their recent earnings call gives us some really good insights.
Perfect. Let's hear it.
So, Mr. K. Jalandhar Reddy, the executive director, he said something really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
He said, as of entire ham, only because EPC from, I'm not hoping anything out of it.
Wow. That's a pretty strong statement.
It is.
Sounds like they're really going all in on ham,
They're shifting away from that EPC market.
which makes sense.
It's getting too competitive.
Yeah, we talked about that.
But doesn't that worry you a bit?
Yeah, putting all their eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
What if the government slows down ham projects?
Well, that's where their partnerships come in
oh, right.
with companies like Adani and Cube Highways.
Okay, those big players.
Exactly. So they're still getting those EPC contracts, but within these larger BOT projects.
Ah, I see. So it's more strategic.
It's not about abandoning EPC completely,
Yeah, it's about being smart.
choosing their battles,
Exactly.
focusing on where they have an advantage.
And minimizing risk.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they're adapting
They are. They're evolving.
to this changing market.
All right, so what about diversification?
The big question.
Did Mr. Reddy say anything about that?
He did. He was very honest about their past attempts. He said, diversification, yes. You tell me. I have examined, I went in solar, I went in metro, everywhere we burned our hands.
Ouch. So not a great track record.
Not so much.
So I guess they're hesitant
Understandably.
to venture too far from what they know.
They're prioritizing stability,
Profitability.
sticking to their core competencies.
Which makes sense, but
But they have all that cash.
yeah, they got to use it somehow.
It's a balancing act for sure.
It is. And speaking of challenges,
Uh-oh, what now?
those delayed irrigation payments.
Oh, right. That's been a big concern.
Investors are not happy about that.
No, not at all.
So did Mr. Reddy address that?
He did. He was very upfront about it.
Okay, good.
He said, actually, the irrigation, sir, it is completely political.
So it's not just a simple delay?
It sounds like there's more to it.
Political complication.
Yeah, behind-the-scenes stuff.
So what are they doing about it?
They're trying a few things.
Like what?
They met with the chief minister
Okay.
and the irrigation minister.
To try and get those funds released.
Exactly.
So they're working within the system.
But they're also exploring legal options.
Oh, so they're ready to fight for it.
They're not messing around.
Serious business.
It is.
Sounds like KNR's at a turning point.
I think so.
They've got some challenges,
For sure.
but they're also thinking strategically,
Positioning themselves for the future
adapting to the market.
and cautiously exploring new opportunities.
It's been quite a deep
It
dive
has.
into the world of KNR Constructions.
A lot to think about.
We've learned a lot.
About their financials, their strategy, their leadership.
But the deep dive doesn't end here, right?
No, it doesn't.
We always tell our listeners,
Keep exploring
keep learning.
and keep diving deep.
So keep an eye on KNR.
See what they do next.
It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here.
Until next time.
Thanks for joining us.